The velvet slot was empty. That was the first thing Susan saw when she opened her mother's jewelry box on Monday morning.
No. It can't be gone.
Susan's hand trembled over the indentation, where the ring had been for 70 years. Her mother's platinum wedding band, engraved for Dorothy Forever Frank, had been worn by 3 generations of brides.
Ashley was here yesterday. She was in this room.
Susan replayed yesterday's visit. Ashley had paused at the jewelry box, asking with fake innocence if the ring was real.
She knew. She must have taken it.
But there was no proof. Just an empty velvet slot and a cold knot forming in her stomach.
Joseph will never believe me.
The ring had vanished the very afternoon Ashley visited. And Susan knew with a certainty that frightened her that this was no accident. Susan dialed Joseph's number with a shaking hand. He answered on the 3rd ring, his voice already carrying the defensive edge she'd come to dread.
"What is it, Mom? I am really busy. Ashley and I are planning something."
The wedding ring is gone. The platinum band your grandmother wore. It wasn't in the box this morning.
Gone? Look, sometimes you misplace things. Did you check your nightstand?
I've checked everywhere. Ashley was in the bedroom yesterday. She asked about it.
Are you actually accusing my wife? That's insane. You probably forgot where you put it.
He's calling me insane now. Just the way she talks about me.
The dismissal was precise, almost clinical. Susan had heard that tone before, when doctors spoke to patients they'd already labeled.
You are right. I am sorry I bothered you. It's probably around here somewhere.
But as the line went dead, Susan made a silent vow. She would find the ring, no matter what Joseph believed. Susan sat on the edge of her bed and opened Instagram. Ashley's story was the first thing she saw.
Real acrylics with rhinestones. That costs more than Joseph's weekly paycheck.
The next story showed a beach, crystal water. Ashley with a cocktail, laughing. The caption simply read, "Finally."
Cabo? Joseph never said a word about a trip. They couldn't possibly afford it.
She tapped the location tag. Cabo San Lucas, posted that very morning.
Sunday, the ring vanished. Monday morning, she's flaunting a luxury vacation. The math is simple.
The truth hit her with brutal clarity. Ashley had stolen and sold a family heirloom for a beach weekend.
She sold my mother's ring. The one my father engraved 70 years ago, gone for cocktails and a tan.
Susan set the phone down, her hands trembling. Then she stood, her mind already racing to pawn shops.
The mall. Pawn shops. Somebody must have records. I am going to find it.
Susan grabbed her keys and drove to the mall, the afternoon light harsh through the windshield. The mall was busy with weekday shoppers. Susan moved through them with single-minded purpose.
These chain shops won't care. They'll melt it down for scrap.
She stopped at 2 generic pawnbrokers. One clerk shrugged. The other hadn't taken in any platinum that week.
Dad always said, if you ever need an honest deal, go see Henry.
Her father had bought her mother's anniversary gifts from Mr. Henry for decades.
He'd recognize the engraving. He'd know it wasn't just a ring.
Susan turned away from the bustling main corridor, heading deeper into the mall where independent shops lined the quieter wing. The window read Henry's Estate Jewelry in gold leaf. Vintage pieces glowed under soft light. She pushed open the heavy glass door, a bell chiming overhead, and stepped inside. The shop was small and quiet, filled with glass cases glowing under warm amber light. The air smelled of old velvet and silver polish.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How can I be of service?
Susan approached the counter and placed her phone down. A photo of the ring sat glowing on the screen.
I am looking for a platinum wedding band. It's very old, with a specific engraving inside.
An engraving? I always note those. What does it say?
For Dorothy, forever, Frank. It was my parents' ring from 1947. Have you seen anything like that?
Dorothy and Frank. I knew Frank. He mentioned that ring more times than I can count.
Henry's expression shifted. He straightened, all business now, and gestured toward the back room. He disappeared into the back, leaving Susan alone with the ticking of an antique clock and her own pounding heart. When he returned, he carried a worn leather ledger. His eyes held a knowing weight, but his hands were empty. Henry opened the ledger to a page marked with a thin ribbon. His finger traced down a handwritten entry.
Platinum wedding band, engraved for Dorothy Forever Frank, sold Sunday afternoon. $300.
Who sold it? What did she look like?
Young woman, blonde, mid-20s, nervous, kept looking at the door. Said it was her grandmother's.
Ashley. She called it her grandmother's ring.
But the moment I read that engraving, I flagged it. I didn't even put it on display.
Why? Why would you hold it back?
30 years ago, your father Frank sat right where you are standing. He made me promise, if a ring with that engraving ever crosses your counter, you call my daughter. So I did. It's in the safe, still wrapped in the tissue she handed it to me in.
Henry disappeared into the back once more, leaving Susan gripping the counter. A moment later, he returned, a small tissue bundle in his weathered hands.
Here, I never even unwrapped it.
Susan's fingers trembled as she peeled back the paper. The platinum band gleamed under the amber lights. She turned it slowly, squinting at the inscription. For Dorothy, forever, Frank. The letters were worn but unmistakable.
It's really here, in my hand. After everything.
Frank was a good man. He loved your mother something fierce. He told me he'd never forgive himself if that ring was lost.
I didn't know he did this. I didn't know he thought ahead like that.
A tear slid down her cheek as she clutched the ring to her chest.
He only wanted to protect you, Miss Susan. That ring was his promise, and now it's yours again.
Now I have to decide what to do with the truth. Joseph, Ashley, the whole mess.
Susan held the ring tightly for a long moment, then looked up at Henry with a steady resolve.
I am buying it back. What do I owe you?
The same 300 she took. That's all.
She wrote the check without hesitation, her hand steady for the first time all day.
Mr. Henry, is there security footage? I need to know for certain.
He nodded, then returned with a small USB drive. Sunday afternoon, 2:14 p.m., Susan plugged the drive into her phone. The grainy video showed Ashley leaning over the counter, sliding the ring across.
There it is. Irrefutable. She can't talk her way out of this.
The choice now was stark. Take it to the police and make it public, or confront her privately and try to save her son.
Public scandal would destroy Joseph. No, I'll handle this at home. Sunday brunch.
Susan sat in her living room, the ring heavy in her pocket. She dialed Joseph's number with a steady hand.
Hey, Mom, everything okay?
Perfect, honey. I was just thinking we should have Sunday brunch this weekend. All three of us.
Brunch. I don't know. Ashley's been talking about catching up on some shopping.
Oh, I haven't seen you both much. I'll make those lemon scones you love. Please.
All right, Mom. What time?
11. I'll have everything ready.
Joseph said he'd ask Ashley and hung up. Susan set the phone down, her expression hardening.
It's done. The trap is set. Now. I just have to wait until Sunday.
She looked toward the dining room, already imagining the table she would set and the conversation that would take place there. Susan spent Saturday afternoon preparing. She starched the linen napkins, polished the silver, and set the table with her mother's china. Then she retrieved the tablet from her study, loaded with Mr. Henry's video, and placed it under the sideboard out of sight but within easy reach.
Everything has to be perfect. No room for her to deflect or lie her way out.
She sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, staring at a framed photo of Joseph and his father, taken 20 years ago.
He's going to hate me for this, but he'll hate himself more if I don't do it.
The risk was real. If Joseph refused to believe the footage, she might lose him forever.
But if I say nothing, she'll bleed him dry and be gone before he even notices. I can't let that happen.
She took a deep breath, then stood. The preparations were complete.
Sunday at 11. I'll give him the truth and let him choose.
The table waited, gleaming in the afternoon light, a stage set for reckoning. Sunday morning, the doorbell rang precisely at 11. Susan smoothed her blazer and opened the door.
Susan, darling, the table looks gorgeous. You shouldn't have gone to so much trouble.
Hi, Mom. Smells great in here.
Come in, both of you. I'm so glad you made it.
They settled around the table, the sun catching the silverware. Ashley immediately launched into a story about their trip.
The resort was divine. We simply have to go back. Joseph, remind me to show your mother the pictures.
Sure. Later. Let's just eat first.
She's already spending money that doesn't exist. Let her dig her own grave.
The clink of forks filled a heavy silence. Susan poured coffee, her movements deliberate and calm. Beneath the table, her hand brushed the tablet hidden from view. The moment was drawing near. Ashley, oblivious, waved her freshly manicured hand, the acrylic nails catching the light. I treated myself after the trip. A girl deserves a little sparkle, don't you think, Susan?
Susan, darling, you should get your nails done too. It's so rejuvenating.
She's not going to let this go. I can feel it.
That's quite the splurge, Ashley. How does Joseph's salary manage all that?
Oh, we budget. Sacrifice a little here, a little there. You know how it is.
Sacrifice. That's rich. Speaking of sacrifice, I wanted to ask you both something about a family heirloom that went missing recently.
Ashley's hand paused mid-air, her smile freezing for a fraction of a second before she recovered.
Missing? Oh, I hope it's not something valuable.
Susan's hand closed around the tablet. She placed it on the table, screen still dark. It's very valuable. Let me show you. Susan tapped the screen. The grainy security footage played. On screen, Ashley slid a small platinum ring across the counter. The clerk examined it. Joseph's face went pale. He stared from the tablet to Ashley, his mouth opening but no words coming. Ashley's eyes were fixed on the screen, her perfectly manicured hand frozen mid-gesture. The video continued. The clerk counted cash and handed it to Ashley. She stuffed the money in her purse. Susan paused the video on a clear frame of Ashley's face. Sunday, 2:14 p.m., she said quietly.
Ashley, what is this?
That's not. I've never seen that place.
Then how did I buy it back from there this week?
The silence that followed was absolute. Ashley's face drained of color completely. Ashley's hand went to her chest. She tried again, her voice thin.
It's not what it looks like.
Susan held up her left hand, the platinum band glinting on her finger.
I bought it back from the same shop. It's engraved inside. Want to see?
Ashley's expression twisted from feigned innocence to raw fury. The mask crumbled, revealing the predator beneath. The evil glint in her eyes was something Joseph had never seen, not from her. Not ever.
You old hag! You think you can ruin me? You are nothing.
Joseph shoved his chair back, the screech cutting through the room.
Enough. Ashley, stop. You stole from my mother. You lied to me. Get out.
Ashley stood, chest heaving, eyes wild, but she didn't move. The table sat in ruin, coffee spreading darkly across the white cloth. Susan watched, her hand still raised, the ring like a brand. Joseph pointed to the door, his arm rigid, voice cracking with fury and pain.
You'll regret this. Both of you.
Ashley snatched her purse off the sideboard, shot one last venomous glare, and stormed out. The front door slammed. The sound echoed through the silent house. In the driveway, an engine turned over and tires shrieked as Ashley sped away. Then, only the hum of the refrigerator and the distant ticking of the hall clock remained.
What have I done? I married a monster and called my mother crazy.
Susan lowered her hand, the ring still heavy on her finger. She looked at Joseph, not with victory, but with a tired, aching love.
He's finally free, but the damage will take time.
The table was ruined, the brunch uneaten, but the ring was back where it belonged, and that was a start.
I am so sorry, Mom. I didn't believe you. I called you crazy. I was such a fool.
Susan crossed to his chair, placed a steady hand on his shaking shoulder.
You loved her. That's not a weakness. She preyed on that.
But I should have listened. To you, to Dad. He would have seen right through her.
He did see through her. And he loved you enough to protect you from afar, even after he was gone.
Joseph stood abruptly, needing air. Susan followed him to the porch.
I'll never forgive myself for what she did to you.
You didn't do it. The ring is back. That's what matters. We'll heal together.
They held each other, the afternoon sun warm on their faces. For the first time in years, Susan felt her son was truly present.
I am going to make this right, Mom. I promise.
Susan led Joseph back inside, past the wrecked table to the living room. She pointed to the mantelpiece.
Your grandparents, Dorothy and Frank. The ring was his promise, cast from platinum he saved 2 years to buy. They were married in 47, right after the war. He never took off his wedding band, not once. She wore it every day, until the morning she died. I remember her turning it on her finger when she was thinking.
Then Susan told him about Mr. Henry, the pawnbroker, and the promise Frank had extracted 30 years ago.
Dad told him, if a Dorothy ring ever crosses your counter, you call my daughter. That's how I got it back.
He did that for you? All those years ago?
He knew this ring was more than metal. It was a circle of trust passed down. He protected it from the grave.
I wish I'd known him better. I was just a kid when he passed.
They stood together in the fading afternoon light, the ring a silent witness to 3 generations of love and sacrifice. The next afternoon, Susan returned to the mall. Henry's estate jewelry glowed through the dusk, its golden sign warm and steady. She pushed open the door, and the little bell chimed. Mr. Henry looked up from his ledger and smiled.
Miss Susan, I was hoping you'd come by. How did Sunday work out?
It was hard, but the truth is out, and my son is safe. That's all I ever wanted.
She slid a small velvet box across the counter. Inside was a vintage pocket watch, a silent thank you.
Oh, no, I can't accept this. I was just keeping a promise.
And you kept it for 30 years. My father would be so proud. Please, it's nothing compared to what you gave back to me.
Henry opened the box and read the card. His eyes glistened. Your father was a good man, he said.
He'd be prouder of you, Miss Susan. You fought for your family. That's all that matters.
Outside, the mall lights flickered on. Susan stepped into the evening air, her mother's ring warm against her skin. Susan returned home and walked slowly to her dresser. She slipped the ring from her finger and laid it beside the open jewelry box. Then she opened the drawer, found a small blank card, and wrote a short message. She tucked it into the corner of the velvet box. To the women who wear this ring, it survived a thief because a man kept a promise. Let it remind you that love is fierce. She lifted the ring, its platinum cool and familiar, and slid it into the velvet groove, where it had rested for generations. She placed the framed photograph of Dorothy and Frank beside the box, their smiles timeless. Susan touched the glass of the photo, her finger tracing her mother's face. Then, with a gentle click, she closed the drawer. The ring was at peace. She stood for a moment in the quiet room, the late afternoon sun pooling on the dresser. Somewhere, she felt her parents' approval. The circle, nearly broken, was whole again, and in that stillness, Susan understood. Some promises outlast even the ones who make them. The following Saturday, a knock came at the front door. Susan opened it to find Joseph, a suitcase in each hand, his expression a mix of apology and hope.
Is it okay if I stay a while? I need to be here with you.
You never have to ask. This is your home too.
Joseph carried his bags up to his old room, past the same trophies and posters he'd left behind years ago. Everything was as he'd left it. That evening they made dinner together, bumping elbows at the stove, an easy silence settling between them.
Remember when you were 12 and tried to flip a pancake that sailed onto the ceiling?
I blamed the spatula. I still say that spatula was defective.
Laughter, stifled at first, filled the kitchen for the first time in months.
There he is. There's my son.
Later, Joseph found the old photo album on the coffee table. He flipped through pages of his grandparents, stopping at the wedding photo. Susan took the old photo album from Joseph and walked out to the porch swing. The evening was soft, the air still. She turned the brittle pages until she found the one she wanted. Dorothy and Frank on their wedding day. In the photograph, her mother's left hand rested on her father's chest, the platinum band catching the light from a 1947 flashbulb. Susan touched the glass of the photo, her fingertip tracing her mother's smile.
You'd be proud, Mom. It took a thief and a promise, but the ring is home.
She glanced down at her own hand, the ring now warm against her skin, a perfect circle of platinum. The sky deepened to violet. Susan closed the album and sat in the silence, listening to the crickets begin their chorus. In that quiet, she felt her parents' presence as surely as she felt the ring on her finger. Not everything lost is gone forever. Not every promise dies with the one who made it. Some promises are written in platinum, and some, like this one, simply endure. Susan was still on the porch when Joseph came back outside. He sat beside her without a word. His hand found hers, and the ring pressed between their palms, a small, cool circle.
Thank you for not giving up on me.
I learned from the best.
The last light caught the platinum, a tiny spark against the deepening violet sky. They sat in comfortable silence, the past week settling like dust after a long rain. The cracked table, the shouted words, the slammed door, all of it fading now. What remained was a quiet strength, a bond reforged in the very fire that had threatened to consume it. Some things are worth protecting forever. The stars bloomed overhead, and the house behind them glowed with warm yellow light. A home, finally at peace.